How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Wonderful.
It's Friday. I got a job. I just got paid. I got lots of stuff to do. There you go.
You said that I think it's Friday, you ain't got a job, you ain't got nowhere to be.
Luckily for all of us in this room, we have a job. We got places to be. We got stuff to do. I think you're going to be stuck with me again today. We were going to have Vanetta in. She was on jury duty, and I guess she got called in. So I was kind of on standby.
I'm sorry.
Because you're happy.
I'm so sorry. I don't even know how to turn this off.
Sorry, sometimes we just need a dance party.
I thought it was supposed
Okay, I'm sorry.
What did you say?
Google Play is on it.
All good, all good.
Super busy, don't call me anywhere after 11 to questioning, am I unemployed? And everyone was like laughing, they were like, that's the real July, like, down, up and back, and around.
So who's had a win in the last 24 hours?
So I posted my business card on my Facebook page, and a couple things, everyone was like, wow, congratulations. But I had a friend, a high school, a guy I went to high school with, reach out and tell me, yes, he said, I'm gonna be house hunting soon. So I connected with him.
Rock and roll.
And then I had one of my really good friends share it on her page.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. At the end of the day, just don't be the secret agent. Secret agents go out of business pretty quickly. You've got to make sure that people know I'm in real estate. Being the secret agent, the agent that's afraid to tell his friends, oh, I don't know enough yet. Well, you're never going to learn. There's not, as good as I think the classroom experience is, there's no better way to learn this business than to go do that first transaction, to go on that first buyer's appointment. Fail your way forward. You know, the successful people in life have failed more than most of us will ever in our life, but they get back up and they just get it and they learn as they go. As one of my first instructors, I think I've given the analogy, said, you've got like an automatic paintball gun in your hand, and you're trying to shoot the clock with the paintball gun, and most of us spend so much time trying to aim it and get it just perfect in our sights, whereas it's an automatic gun, you've got as many paintballs as you want. Just start spraying it, and you'll see, okay, I'm missing it to the right, oh, missing a little to the left, and you'll eventually get it right. You know, the more buyer presentations like we're going to talk about today, the more opportunities you get, the better you get. It's that perfect practice makes perfect. But you go out there and you fail your way forward. It's like I started tennis lessons, and it turns out after not playing tennis for 20 years, I'm like not that good. Just haven't been doing it. So this weekend, I'm going to go run like a ball machine and go just take 200 forehands, 200 backhands, and we'll do it again next week and the week after that, so that it just becomes easy. And because right now it feels clunky. I'm trying to do it like the instructor says, and nothing feels right. I just want to do it the natural way, but there's a reason they teach you the right way to do it. So I saw she had her hand up, and she just headed out of the room. Who online's got a win that they had in the last day or two?
Hey, Hunter, if it's just me, I don't see the classroom. I just get to see your beautiful headshot.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody else is seeing.
How about now?
Same.
Hey, everybody.
Yep.
There you go.
My bad. We're yelling at y'all to turn your camera on, and we're hanging out in the dark.
Yeah.
All right, well, now you got to share something good with us. Somebody's on there.
I'm still in New York, but I'm coming back this weekend. I've been helping my mom pack her house and quarantining, so I can hit the ground running.
There you go. Are you driving?
I am.
What's the drive from
Shepherd? So we're both gonna cruise down Sunday. We're gonna hit it hard first thing in the morning and get in Sunday night.
How many hours is that?
It normally ends up, it's like 18 and something, so it ends up being around 20 by the time. I don't know. My dogs are like real good dogs. They're old. So we get out, we pee, and we get the hell back in the car and on the road. You don't, if they don't poop, I'm like, oh, that opportunity passed, kids.
Oh, see, it gives me too much stress with my dog. Like if she doesn't do her business in the morning, I spend the whole morning distressed, and she's like at home in discomfort. 10 years in, I would think she's never had an accident, so we're probably okay.
Exactly.
But Still
My
can-
dogs are old. They're 9 and they know when they have to go, or they tell me if they have to.
There
They
you go.
speak to me, and then it'd be like, oh, get off. But if they have to go, they go.
Well, safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you in person.
Hey,
Ms.
you're
Evans, I
telling
know
me
you had held your hand up that you had a win the last day or two.
Yesterday, I met with I guess he's with a lending company or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something which was very profound because I asked him, I said, how did you get my information? And he's doing cold calling like me. He's a young guy, very pleasant. And he said, well, all I did was look on track and I'm calling literally every new agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's a great idea because you have the whole state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm literally just going down the line. And he said, I'm so happy that you gave me the chance because many people have said no. And so he was telling me about this call that's going to be next week for first-time home buyers. And it's a Zoom call. So he was like, I really would like you to be on it. He said, because you never know what information you learn. So I was like, oh, cool, thank you.
Yeah, there's tons of education opportunities provided through lenders, provided through title companies. And what I like the most I hear in that story is that he's no different than us. He probably got his license and thought, all right, I'm just going to be, writing up a bunch of loans. It's going to be great. How many of us thought, I'm just going to get my license and then I get to start writing contracts? It's like I was listening to the radio one day when I was new in this business and I heard a younger gentleman, an attorney, and he was doing a radio ad. And I'm sure just like me, when he got his law degree, he thought he was going to be, Tom Cruise in the firm yelling, you can't handle the truth and all that good stuff. And it turns out that he could be the best lawyer in the world. Your buddy you met yesterday could be the best lender in the world. I could be the best real estate in the world. But if we don't lead generate, it does us no good. Because without leads, what?
Nothing else matters.
I like it. What was the post I saw on Lab Coat Agents? I think I screenshot it. Let me see. Did I? No, I didn't. I'll go find it. But it was basically the same phrase, but coming from a mega agent out in California. And I'm like, that's it. Nothing else does matter. It's, a lot of businesses are that way. Yes, ma'am.
I guess mine is a semi-win. I've been kind of the guy that I told you guys about, or I don't know if I didn't say anything, but there's a guy that I've kind of been working since my open house last week. And we're finally at the last step. I sent over my contracts and just waiting for him to sign it. But he is in Turkey, which is very difficult because it's 9-hour difference. And I'm having such a hard time, when he's up, I'm asleep, vice versa. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. So I'm thinking of, I don't know if WhatsApp is better because also he's I guess he's having trouble calling because it's probably really costly, I'm guessing. So I don't know if WhatsApp is better, if we should just get on a Zoom call, I don't know, but it's so complicated.
Yeah, that's tough dealing with someone that's 9 hours away in a different country. Any form of communication that works will suffice. So if WhatsApp is cheaper or more convenient for him. And that's something to keep in mind if you do end up getting that listing, is communicate that with any potential buyers. That, hey, just a heads up, the seller is out of country. So let's build know that it's going to take me, typically a day to get you an answer. And so if we're negotiating back and forth, that's going to add some time onto it. So keep that in mind. If somebody sets a tight timeline, like a 5-day option period, while that's for a lot of sellers very advantageous, for your guy, we may want an extra day or two just to be able to make sure that we've got that counter back and forth because the communication's just kind of playing a game of telephone with him.
Yeah.
So you think you're going to get that listing?
I do. It's a little weird. He's in forbearance.
Okay.
And so he has 3 months, so it's not a really short period. So it's but so he's really motivated to sell. And I have been like I said, I've been getting postcards of people asking if but they're cash buyers. And so I've just been calling around and seeing what their offers are and just kind of relaying it to him and seeing what is realistic and what's not from them. And yeah, I think he's really motivated. He seems good. And he does have a point of contact here, his friend that lives here, but I'm like, you
Okay.
can't give me the information that I need. So
Yes.
move to the side.
One option, once it comes to contract time, you can have a power of attorney. So like his buddy could get a power of attorney to sign up. Like I've had closings with random folks that had powers of attorney. It'd be a pain in the ass. Really sucks for whoever comes in and signs, because whatever you sign, so you'd have to sign Shay Avery, power of attorney for Mike Smith. Every single signature, there's a lot of signatures involved in a closing. So it can take a little bit longer, but that's an option when you get down that route. Most auto companies these days, yeah, I just did first closing I did Monday this week. It was a cash buyer, so that helped. But we did a DocuSign. She never went to the title company. I've had them remotely come to me. That's happened before quite a bit. But the title company was in Argyle. Deal was in Dallas. So I didn't feel like driving to Argyle. And so we can have her just DocuSign it. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Wired the funds over. She never had to walk into the title company, and I just went and picked up the keys. So they can help with those remote closings. This is becoming a much more international business. We're seeing a lot of investment come from overseas. In China, we see a lot of investors come over from the Far East. We see a lot of investors from the Middle East. I know in China, I think they have certain rules on kind of the property ownership laws there that only allow you to own a certain amount of properties. And so I think they've become big investors in America because it's a way to, and that should tell you a little bit about kind of the world's view of American real estate, that there are so many people from outside of our country that come in and invest in our real estate because they feel like it is a safe harbor for their money. That American real estate over time, we have to get years, but over time that trend line pretty much shoots up. So, stock market tends to go up. You just have a few more volatile years in that. But if you can hold, you're probably going to be all right. And that's what happened. I remember when I first started, it was 2007. We were going through the short sales, the foreclosures. And I remember discussing it with my dad. And I was like, why are all these people having to foreclose? I know their properties are down, but they'll come back up. And that's where you have those have to moves. Those folks that that are in forbearance right now, they can't make payments, that lost a job. Their family situation changed. Their kids are heading to college. Stuff happens. And so even in a recession, there are tons of people moving. It's just, we've talked about, you have the want tos and the have tos. And we're in a market right now where we get both. We've had a really nice couple of years where we've had all the buyers that had to move, got the new job, got the new family, whatever the case may be. But we've also had the want to moves over the last 5 years. The people that just, we want to upsize. We want to live closer to our office. We want to live closer to the Cowboys stadium because we go to Cowboys games, although whatever has wanted to move. What may happen if that market kind of goes away is then we've got to make sure I've got enough people in my database that I'm going to have to move to be able to reach my goals. Enough business that way that if the people that just want to move have to kind of hit time out for a couple of years because the market's so volatile, who am I going to get business from? Do I have enough people to kind of weather that storm? What's really cool about a recession is that's a great opportunity to go take market share. A lot of agents will kind of scale back. They get scared. They get tight with their dollars. You definitely want to watch your dollars. But if you notice, like the bigger companies, when we go into recession, they amp it up because they know that's an opportunity to go take some of those folks that are going to fall out of the business. There's a lot of folks, if the market gets tough in the next 3 or 4 years, a lot of agents that have been doing this for a long time that, am I going to retire now? Am I going to retire in 5 years? Market gets a little tight. All of a sudden, those agents decide, let's go ahead and have that early retirement. And so there's opportunities in those markets that are not necessarily present in a hot market per se. So rock and roll. Anybody got anything else? Beautiful. So did everybody get a copy of the buyer presentation I sent out yesterday? And then you also have the link in the drive if you want to take a look at a hard copy. I've printed out one right there. I used the same theme as the listing presentation. So those two generic presentations will have a nice matching feel to them. There are 4 different themes, so they have the same content. They're just look different font sets, different colors, that sort of stuff. Let's pop over. Buyer consultations. So we talked yesterday about the listing presentation, and really kind of getting to understand the seller's motivation. Why is it they want to sell? When do they want to sell by? What are they looking for in their agent? What are they looking for in how you market the home? Really making that presentation about them. When you go in and you have that conversation with the seller, and they walk away knowing that you care about their goals and what they're trying to accomplish, that's when you get the listing. They, especially on the seller side, want to know I can trust you, that you've got my interests at heart, that you understand where I'm trying to go. Buyer side's a little bit more about providing them that information, being able to answer those questions, not always knowing the answer, but being able to have the resources to go find them. What's the school district like here? And being able to, direct them to something like greaterschools.org to find that information. What's the crime rate here? You can't answer that sort of question. What you can do is help point them in the right direction to find those statistics so that they can make an informed decision. The buyer, and then the consultation that we're going to get into today, it's as much about the buyer's time as your time. Because buyers can be, I hear a lot of, you'll hear from some veteran agents, buyers are liars. Y'all heard that phrase before? You'll hear that from veteran agents. And what I think that means is they're not doing a good job of pre-qualifying and really doing a needs analysis with their buyers. A lot of agents were those Pop-Tart agents. We get somebody that wants to go look at a home and we just rush right out to go show them the home. We meet someone in an open house and we want to go show them another house afterwards and we just go right to that showing. We don't take the time to meet them for 15 to 20 minutes to discuss where they are in the process. Have they done this process before? What education do they need about the process? And then most importantly, what are their actual needs? What are the things they need in a home? What are the things they want in a home? What are the must-haves? And what's unique is the more folks have purchased a home, that list will grow. When we bought our first home, it was just, I want a roof, backyard for the dog. That was like it. I wanted a backyard for my dog. Well, now that I've lived in quite a few homes, each home we've lived in adds to that list. There's always 2 or 3 things that go on to the, I will never live in a house that has this feature again. Oh my God, this has been miserable. And there are 3 or 4 items that tend to get added to the, oh my God, I'll never live in a house that does not have this because, oh, how nice was this? And so it's helping them figure out, and that's where that presentation does a really thorough job of going through the questions to ask a buyer. And I know it seems sometimes like it's, oh my God, why would I ever ask? Because the more information I can get up front, the less time I'm going to have to spend going out to find that home. And that's where buyers can become time consuming is, I've told the story of the client I signed off an online lead who had been looking at like 50 other homes with the agent before me. I've had those clients where we've seen 20, 25 homes, and that is way too many homes. That is a ton of time on my behalf. That's a ton of time on their behalf. And at that point, the homes start to get confusing. They don't stand out. The most homes I'll ever show like on a single day is 5. Unless I have an out-of-town buyer that absolutely wants to see more than that, 5 is about the tops. Reason being, you get mentally fried by the 6th, 7th, and 8th house. They're mentally fried by the 6th, 7th, and 8th house. And then they all blend together throughout the day. So by the end of the day, you can't even distinguish one from the other. And so to me, 5 is kind of that magic number. If I had an out-of-town buyer that wanted to see like 8 homes, I'd suggest to him we did 4 in the morning, took a nice like lunch break, everybody went home, kind of refreshed, and then we went back out in the afternoon. That way they can kind of get their thoughts on those first 4, kind of develop an opinion. But if I'm doing my job, I shouldn't have to be showing that many. If I do my job with the consultation and really dig in and find out what it is they're wanting out of their next home, and what that will do for their life. And that's what you help kind of help create that picture for them. Talk about what kind of experience, you say big backyard, what does that mean to you? Do you guys grill out a lot? Do you have friends and family over? Are you looking to have pool parties? Do you ride horses in your backyard? Do you want to build a pitching mound or a putting wedge? So it's really helping understand how are they going to utilize that home so that we can go find them the right home. And so that's the buyer consultation. And it's probably one of the biggest things that a lot of agents skip. And that's why they say buyers are liars. They're not liars, you just never ask. They go out, they get so excited to go show a buyer, they never talk to them about the lending process. Are they pre-approved? You're going to hear from agents that will say, I never show a home to a buyer that is not pre-approved. My personal has always been, I'll go out one time, 3 houses max, and we can go look at them. So I know there are certain buyers, especially like some of my first-time home buyers, my repeat buyers tend to know the process and know they got to get pre-approved, and that tends to not be as big of an issue. My first-time home buyers, it's sometimes a little tough to get off that fence, to go call Donna or to answer her call or to go on the KW app and download and go through the Keller Mortgage to get pre-approved. They don't necessarily understand the importance of that. We really cannot submit an offer without a pre-approval. I know Jessica on our online class, she had a client that wanted to submit the offer and then go get a pre-approval, and you can. There's no rule against it. However, it was a multiple offer situation that as a listing agent, I'm just not going to look at your offer. I'll present it, but I'm going to present it. We have no idea if these people are legitimate buyers. They're willing, they're ready, but I have no idea about the able part. And that's what I'm ultimately looking for as a buyer's agent. I need ready, willing, and able buyers. And as a selling agent, I need whoever's contract we accept to be a ready, willing, and able buyer. And so a lot of agents don't do that consultation, and that's where they come up with the term buyers are liars, because they haven't taken the time to really vet out their buyers. So I'll personally show, like I said, one time up to 3 homes because I want to create that excitement. I'm very cognizant of if we go look at 3 homes and they're not pre-approved, I want to make sure they're really nice homes. So I want to get them excited. There are buyers, especially like with my online leads, I use the script all the time. I've taught you guys how to set up your own search in the MLS to send those auto emails. And I always copy myself on it because I use that as a way to get buyers out and start looking at homes. Is as I see a home that popped up that was really good, I give Shay a call and say, hey, Shay, we haven't gone out to take a look at anything, but oh my gosh, that home over off of Greystone Drive. Wow, look at that backyard. What a beautiful kitchen. Do you guys see that in the email? Yeah, we saw it. We kind of thought it was a really cool kitchen. Awesome. Well, I'm actually going to go out. I'm going to be out that way this weekend, previewing a few homes, and it was going to be on my list. I'd be happy to meet you guys out there. I can kind of arrange my time a little bit differently if that would work for you. I've found by using the I'm going to go preview with the you like to join me line has been very successful for me, as opposed to saying, hey, Shay, would you like to go see that home? Whatever reason, when I say it like that, she feels like maybe if we're not sure we're serious yet, and now it might inconvenience me. A lot of clients will say no. But if I say, hey, I'm already going to be out there previewing some other homes, it was going to be on my list. Would you like to just meet me out? In other words, I'm already doing this. You can just tag along if you want to. Now, sometimes I was going to really go preview that home. Other times, I'm not really necessarily planning on driving out to Rockwell to go preview homes, but if I can get Shay to jump off the fence and say, it's beautiful. And if I'm showing one house, I go ahead and pull up other homes because I want to get my most bang for the buck and say, hey, Shay, I just sent you 4 other homes that I was also going to preview. Let me know if you guys want to just go check any of those out with me as well. When I get prepared for showings, I always look for other inventory in that area that may be a good criteria. Because ultimately, you're going to drive up to the house and you're going to pass a home with a sold or a sale sign in it. And your clients go, ooh, I want to go see that one. And so I like to be able to, as we are driving up to that house, say, guys, I did go ahead and look at this house we're about to pass on the left-hand side over on Deerfield Drive. We're certainly able to go see it if you would like to, but it's only a 3-bedroom, a 2-bath, and I know how important you told me having that extra half bath and a 4th bedroom was. But I can tell them why we're not seeing it because I've done a little bit of that research. and I know what they want in a home. Who's going out and previewing homes? All right. That's, I mean, look, when I talk to most agents and say, why'd you get into this job? Most of us say, well, I really like looking at houses. Now, this is an opportunity to go out, check out houses, see those trends, see what your money will buy you. And then for those potential buyers, I make sure I preview. I did a condo back in September or October where we had gone out, we had looked at, I think there were only like 7 things that met her criteria. She was approved, we were ready to go. We looked at 3 of them, and then she had ruled out the other 4. Well, there was one of those 4 just had really crappy pictures. They were dark, all the shutters were like closed during the photos. The pictures looked like crap. But I'm like, man, this is the biggest one. She told me size was most important. It had a 3rd bathroom. She told me that was definitely on the would love to have list. Had 2 patios, which was something she would love to have. It had a fireplace. Looked the most like square footage wise like it would be a good fit. So I said, you know what, screw it. Told my girlfriend one afternoon, hey, let's go take a look at this house for my client. We got nothing to do. We're in the middle of a quarantine. I wasn't coaching at that time, so we headed out to go look at it. Grabbed a bite to eat, went and go look at the house, walked in, and I mean, the second I walked in, like, this is it. Like, I could tell, this is exact. Not my taste. Hadn't been updated since like 1995. That was what she was looking for. That was the last time she probably changed out her wardrobe or any of the music she listened to. It's cool, man, whatever. Works perfectly. Like, this thing had sat on the market forever. One of the biggest issues with this one is the HOA dues were extremely high. But we were able to get them to come down enough on this price to make that work for her. And we ended up writing an offer that afternoon and going under contract and getting that thing closed. She'd have never asked me to see that. A lazy agent would have never gone and looked at it. And that would have been a missed opportunity. And so that's where previewing, and really, I had done a really thorough consultation with her. So I knew what she was looking for. And the second I walked in, I called her. I said, when you do this good consultation, you can do that. I have more than once previewed homes for buyers. This is not the first time I've made that phone call. Remember my good buddies, Carla and Jesse up in Frisco. I called them one morning and I said, I know both of you are teachers. Home just came on the market this morning. I decided to go out and preview it. Do one of y'all pull a fire drill, man? We got to get one of y'all's got to get some eyes out here because I think this is it. And we knew this was back in the beginning of the hot market. Everybody was writing multiple offers. So that's why I'd gone out to preview it that morning. I'd seen homes literally didn't make it to day 1 on the market because the first day you're out is day 0. And so I knew this could be one of those. Jesse ended up somehow got an hour break, I guess, and took his lunch break, drove out there, met me, and took a video tour for his wife. And we ended up writing the offer that day and won a multiple offer situation. And that's because I was able to, would not call someone and tell them you need to leave work if I thought it was a nice house, but didn't really know what the heck they were looking for. But because I knew what they wanted, because I had asked as many questions as possible, I felt very confident to say, one of y'all really does need to like skip out of work for a little bit. Come look at this. Because we've, I've looked at about 15 homes for you, and this is the first one that's met 95% of the criteria of what you're looking for. They're still in that home today. I went to one of their baby showers right when I got back in town, and they love it. They're friends with all their neighbors, and that's always a fun feeling. When you get those clients that text you 6 months later that say, oh my God, thank you. Never made a decision for my client. We talked about that yesterday. Like James Tan said, sleep well because I present the information and then allow the client to make the decision. Does not mean I haven't kind of pushed the buyer every now and then and kind of gotten them to get off that fence, because if you do this consultation, you really understand what it's looking like. Kind of, I joke with you as agents, I say sometimes we're going to have sober you prepare drunk you for success, because we're going to create our business plan so that when we get busy, we can go back and look at that plan and go, oh, I do need to do a little bit more lead generation. I don't want to be this agent. I want to be the steady agent. Same thing with my buyers. I want to, in the sober moment before we start the home search, do a really good consultation, because it gets a little hectic for them. They're looking at houses. All of a sudden, I have clients I've had to kind of help not. And that's what one of my buddies said. He goes, the best agents don't convince you to buy a house. The best agents will convince you not to buy a home. And sometimes that is the biggest job we do as a buyer's agent, is they get, sometimes especially in a market like this, there gets frustration sets in. Maybe we've only gone to look at 4 houses, but we've written 3 offers on them and we've lost all 3. We just lost out to a cash buyer, buyer that just came in 5,000 over us. And then we lost out to my worst fear is that emotional buyer. The buyer that didn't pay any attention to the logic and the numbers and just wrote a crazy ass overpriced offer. And I tell my clients that. I go, look, our worst competition in a multiple offer situation is the emotional buyer that's emotionally attached to this house and will not listen to their agent. And they, even though they're going to look at the same numbers I'm showing you right now that show us anywhere between 101 to 103% of list price is probably where the most we should come in. There's going to be every now and then that buyer that has maybe lost 5 offers because I don't give a damn and just writes an offer for 50,000 over on a 350 house. You know, I tell my client, there's nothing we could have done. I would have strongly advised you from against writing that kind of offer. But so you're able to, when you've done that consultation, to be able to help that buyer know that once that frustration sets in, that sometimes they want to write an offer on a home that isn't the right home. And so you have to kind of go back to that sober moment and say, hey, Shay, I know when we met, you told me how important it was to you and your family that you guys had a game room, because the house you're living in right now, that was one of the biggest things you disliked about it was that your kids didn't have a separate place to play and they ended up playing in the living room. And I know this is a really nice house we just looked at over on Greystone, but it does not have that game room. So have you guys as a family kind of decided that that goal has changed, or we just get a little frustrated with the market? And they tend to go, yeah, you're right. That is the case. And great, I get it. This is a tough market right now, but we're going to keep going out looking at the houses. And it's my job to make sure we find you that house that meets those things you told me were so important to you and your family. So trust me, I promise you, the right house is out there. And I tell my clients that all the time, even when we lose an offer, I'm like, then this one wasn't meant to be. And they don't believe you at the time. And then 2 months later, when they finally get under contract and get a house, they always text you about a month later and go, oh my God, bro, you're so right. We drove by that house that we wrote an offer and lost it on, and oh my God, like we just realized we do not like that neighborhood. We hated our kids going to that school, and we just love everything about the neighborhood. It seems to always work itself out. Yes, sir. So that's why this buyer consultation, it's for your time as well as their time. It's to try to stave off some of that frustration. However, in this market, you can be doing everything right. You can find the right home. It is just a competitive market. Those first-time home buyers, it's tough sledding out there. Those guys that are looking for stuff under $200,000 in DFW, it's tough sledding because you're competing against investors, and that sucks. One of the cool features, if we do go back into a foreclosure kind of market, are HUD homes. They make a great purchase for those first-time home buyers. Reason being, HUD homes can only be purchased by buyer occupants for the first 30 days before an investor can come. You have to be an owner occupant to purchase those homes. So that was always nice when I had buyers that were struggling in a tough market, where those kind of opportunities right now, they're just not out there.
You search by FHA only?
So one of the, not necessarily, you can search by loan type, of what type of loan. So you'll come across this with condos. Is I get a lot of younger first-time home buyers, and condos can be a little bit more affordable. They're, you can find stuff for $80,000. You can find stuff for like 60. The HOA dues, which you kind of got to pay attention to, because that can catch them. But a lot of my condo buyers are FHA buyers, and a ton of condos are not FHA approvable for various reasons. The biggest one typically being that somebody owns over 10% of the units. In other words, one investor, if there's 10 units here and one investor owns 2 of them, cannot get an FHA loan on it. It's a real pain in the ass. I don't know what we need to do to change that and help folks because that's an affordable property to get you into the game.
If someone's looking for something that cheap, they probably don't have
Exactly. They tend to not be able to qualify for a conventional loan, and they tend to not have $80,000 cash. So it really sucks. There's not very many single family homes that are going to be $80,000. And so you got to get sometimes a little creative and try to come up with alternative financing. it can be real tough. And then at the same time, you're competing against cash buyers. But you can search by loan type that they're accepting. The problem is a lot of agents don't realize that FHA is tough to get approval on, and you can check it on the HUD website. But a lot of agents that don't list more than like 1 or 2 condos in their career do not know that. And so anytime I search for condos, FHA, a bunch pop up, and then I go actually run myself and go enter the addresses into the FHA portal, and none of them are approved. And I'm like, crap. And so that's a pain in the ass. You can search by seller type and look up lender REO to see foreclosures. So those of you that are looking for foreclosures, and I always like to just run this search to kind of see how many are on the market. I run a quick search. I just want to see active. It's one of the add or remove fields is seller type. I've already added it. You'll have to add it the first time. Lender REO is going to be the foreclosures. There's 102. That's insane. That is such a small number. It's because of the forbearance. These are probably ones that were on the market before we went into that. Is going to be my guess. A lot of those have been on the market a minute because there shouldn't be many coming on the market because most people have been given forbearance. That number, like I said, that's going to be an interesting number to watch over the next 12 months. That's going to be a search I'm going to run quite a bit just for my own curiosity to kind of see what happens there. Does it stay under 1,000? Do we quickly get, I could see a scenario where we're at like 10 times that. We're in a scenario where there's 5,000 foreclosures. We've started to see the numbers. There's a lot of people that have missed a mortgage payment, a lot of renters that have been missing rent payments. It's going to be interesting to see how all this shakes out and what our government is willing or unwilling to do to help the situation. So that's a number I will pay close attention to, and you should probably keep an eye on that as well. One of the cool things when you go to your matrix at the homepage, you've got a market watch that you can set up and customize. Let's just actually move it up here. And you can customize. So right now I've got it running for like Collin County, just to give me an idea. And as you go in every day, you can start to see. So today there were 10 new listings in Collin County. That's for a Friday. That's not a lot. 3 came back on the market, 3 price decreases, average option contract, 8, 10 sold, 10 went independent. In the last 7 days. So you can set up that market watch, customize it for the area you are most interested in, and get in the habit of just checking and kind of looking at it every day so that you start to see those trends and know the market. You'll start to realize, okay, every day I'm logging on, I'm seeing 10. Now it's starting to get to 15 new listings. Now it's 30 new listings. 2 months from now, it's 45 new listings. It seems like a day. Guess what's happening? The market's shifting, and it can shift pretty darn quickly. And so this is a way to kind of keep yourself abreast of that situation. Today, we're going to talk about the buyer consultation and the buyer presentation. So obviously, just like with the listing presentation, the most important part is setting the appointment. It's just getting the opportunity to meet with somebody and talk real estate. Just like the same number I give for the sellers, same thing with buyers, about 3 out of 4 only meet with one agent. And so it's, if I can get that appointment where we can sit down and really discuss their goals as a buyer, 9 out of 10 times you should walk away with that buyer. We've talked about the buyer's rep a little bit. I know they do a really good job in Champions and the other real estate schools of kind of adding a little fear into you. I remember like when I walked out of Champions, I was pretty convinced I would be sued at least 3 or 4 times a year. That just sounded like kind of what happened. 12 years in, knock on fake wood, never been sued. I know our office, I don't think we've ever been officially sued. Doesn't mean we've gotten like a couple strongly worded letters from lawyers and that we've written some checks. Typically you can write a check to get yourself out of any lawsuit. Look, as an agent, I have bought ceiling fans. I have bought bought a ton of garage door openers, bought a refrigerator. I didn't think of any other expensive. I've bought some things, not necessarily even for my mistake. Like the garage door openers, typically I have to end up buying a buyer garage door opener because sellers didn't leave them. They moved to Florida. They can't find them. The listing agent will get you a check sometime. My buyers are wanting to get into move into their house and have access to their damn garage. I'm not going to wait to figure that out. The refrigerator, that one was a seller was supposed to leave it. Seller took it. Clients going, where the hell's our refrigerator? Could I have been like, well, that's the seller's fault? Absolutely. Do I think I'm going to get any more referrals from that client? Probably not. Should I just go get them a freaking refrigerator? Yep. And that client becomes the client for life. That's, I remember talking to James about one time when I felt like I had kind of gotten robbed out of the commission. He goes, dude, we can absolutely go after the client. We got your back. We will defend you and we will pursue that commission for you. He goes, I just want to know, is the commission enough to make up for losing your career? I'm like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. He goes, you didn't. The reality of the situation is they'll file every complaint they can with Trek. They will go on every website they can and give you a 1-star review. They will trash you on social media. He goes, unless it's, if it's principal, that's a really expensive price to pay for it. And so, that point I kind of learned a lesson about life that just sometimes because you're right doesn't always mean that's what you get to do. That, sometimes the right thing and what you have to do are different. And that was a crappy lesson to learn, but at the same time, I get it. If you sue somebody for $10,000, they're not going to be happy with you. And you better be willing to face those repercussions. And they can, in a business where our reputation matters, that's a small amount of money to give up possibly my reputation. So it's setting that appointment. So I know that Champions, they scare you about that buyer's representation agreement. You should get it signed right away. It's the correct answer. In the real world, does it play like that? What do you guys think? It just doesn't. If I meet a client at an open house and they want to go look at houses this week, and I send them a 6-month representation agreement before we've ever gone and looked at a house, there's a good chance I've now scared them off. They just want to go look at a few houses. They aren't necessarily ready to commit. Now, if you're extremely concerned about doing it the legal way, and since I'm being recorded, this is the way we should do it, is what I might suggest doing is just creating a buyer's representation agreement for one day, the day you're going to go show, and for 3 properties. That way you can legally represent them on those 3 homes as a buyer's agent, but you're not asking them for a long-term commitment. Because to me, if I haven't taken you on a first date, I can't ask you to go steady yet. And so I feel like I have to earn the right to ask you to sign a 6-month agreement that you're willing to work with me. So during that appointment, I may bring the paperwork and say, hey, well, I really appreciate it. It's awesome. I feel like we got a good idea of kind of what you guys are looking for. So I'm going to go home and get that search up and running. Did bring a copy of the buyer's representation agreement. Just something my office requires for us to be able to work with buyers. It's also required by the state of Texas. Feel free to take it home, look it over. But when we get together next time, I'll have a copy on me so that you guys, we can go over it together if you'd like to, and we'll get that signed. Now, some clients will just grab a pen and sign it. I'm that kind of person. I will eventually get myself in a lot of trouble someday because I've signed an agreement that like gives away my firstborn child, and I just didn't read the small print because I'm just, whatever, if you put it in front of me, I'm a pretty trustworthy. I'm an optimistic person. I believe in the good of people, sometimes to a default. and never think anybody would ever be out to get me in any way. So I will sign stuff like that. You will have clients that do that, others that will take it home and bring it back to you signed, and others that will, oh my God, completely didn't even look at it. Beautiful, don't worry about another copy. So by the end of the first day of showings, I do want an agreement in place. So just like I am personally willing to go show up to 3 homes without a pre-approved buyer, I also kind of use that with my buyer's rep. I'm personally willing to take the risk of showing a buyer 2 or 3 homes without having them under a rep agreement, so that I can earn that trust, so that when I ask for it, I feel like I've got a really good opportunity to get it signed. And so that's just kind of my personal, you will come up with your own. I think right now I've got a lot of agents that are not showing pre-approved buyers, and they're using the COVID. And that's not a bad script. Hey, Shay, I would absolutely love to show you. However, right now, because of everything that's going on, one of the requirements they have for home showings is that any buyer that is going to be showing the home has to be pre-approved. And so until we get that pre-approval letter, unfortunately, we can't be showing houses to you. It's just that homeowners don't want just look-throughs. And I know you're not, Shay, but there are some folks out there that just like to look at homes for fun. And right now, just with everything going on, our board of realtors is really trying to crack down on that. So let's get you in and talk with the lender. It won't take 10 to 15 minutes. And that way, at the end of the day, most importantly, we'll have a really good idea of making sure that we're looking at homes that are the right price point. Because what will suck, and it has happened to me because I'm willing to show 3 before we get pre-approved. It has absolutely happened to me where I've shown them 3 at $350. They fell in love with one. We go talk to the lender and we can't get approved for $300. That is the absolute risk, and it sucks when it happens. So I do know plenty of agents that will say, you know what, I do not show other than pre-approved buyers because I don't want them to fund. And that's why I only give them one opportunity, and then we do have to get pre-approved, because I do not want to go out looking at 350 homes and you can't get approved over 300. Well, we're screwed now. Because you fall in love with 3, that's the problem. You fell in love with 350s. And now we're not going to get that extra half bath. Now at 300, we can't get the pool. At 300, we aren't getting the nice corner lot. We're right off the main street or backing up to it. So that's why the pre-approval process is huge. But so, yeah, in that appointment, I typically do not require them to sign it, but I do present the agreement. I'm cautious about ever sending it over email for the first time, just because it's easier, and if we haven't met in person, for them to kind of then ghost me at that point. So I'm very cautious with how I present it, knowing I do not want to scare a buyer off, but I also want to do things the right way. Like I said, if really you're concerned, I look into starting to just create a buyer's rep agreement for one day for the 2 or 3 homes that they wanted to see. I think that's totally acceptable, and I've done that. Same thing with like the IABS. I had an agent that called me one day and said that they were spending way too much money on printing. I'm like, well, what are you printing? Because I knew they were door knocking. I was like, how much is your door? And he goes, well, the door knocking costs a lot, but I'm paying 10 cents for every one of my IABSs. But what are you doing with your information about brokerage service forms? He goes, well, every house I door knock on, I have one too. Oh, no, we don't have to do that. When they come into an open house, you do not have to present them an IABS. It's for when you do have that appointment, for when you do go on a listing front. Once we've decided we're going to at least discuss the opportunity of working together and having a business relationship, is the proper time to bring that in. If I'm just providing you general information about real estate, if I meet a guy at the grocery store, I don't run out to my car and go hand him an IABS and say, thank you for that conversation today. And I know that they train you almost in those schools to kind of think that's how it has to be done. So setting the appointment. So we've gone all the way through. We've talked about prospecting and marketing. We've discussed kind of the difference between leads who are actual potential buyers and sellers versus just my contacts. The folks that maybe I know from a past job, from school, from my sorority, from my fraternity, from my networking groups that I don't know whether they're necessarily a buyer or seller right now. I want to make sure I'm actively letting them know I'm in real estate, but I don't know which direction I might end up going with them. Then we've talked about how we connect with them using smart plans. Who was in the class yesterday? I hear it was a really good class. Clark felt good about it.
Sorry.
What's that?
I went to the last month, but you're talking about.
Okay, who went to the class yesterday? Brad, you were there? Did you do a good job?
He's really good.
So how to stay connected using things like the SMART plan. And that helps with the cultivation. And now we're at the appointment stage. That's the money-making stage. The agents to set appointments. You can suck at them today, I promise you. If you're good at setting the appointments, you'll get good at it. If you're willing to go out and set those appointments and just find somebody that's willing to talk to you once a week, you can find one person that's willing to talk to you about real estate, and you can convert, even if you converted 25% of the people that you had that conversation with, that'd be 52 appointments, and you converted 25%, that's gonna be 12 to 14 deals a year. That's gonna be a pretty good career. You're doing 12 deals a year at an average of 300,000, that's 3 million. That's gonna get you close to the 6 figures a year. And that, you're not gonna have to work that hard. One transaction a month isn't gonna kill you. The first one may, because you're learning. It's like the first time you create a listing presentation on that site, it sucks. You get better with it. Everything takes a while the first time, and then you learn as you go. So setting the appointment, if I met you at an open, so there's different times when we'll set the appointment. You're gonna get those Facebook leads, people that write in and say, hey, we're thinking we'd like to buy a house. Great, my next message back, awesome. When would be a great time to get together, you, your boyfriend, and myself, to discuss those options with you? The open house, somebody that you, like I said, I always like to go out and preview the other open houses. I always ask you, so what do you guys think of this home? Well, we liked it, we're looking for a little bit bigger kitchen. Oh my gosh, well, I happen to know a really awesome listing, very similar. Got a really nice open kitchen into the family room. I get offered about 3 today. Love to go give you guys a preview of that home. Would you be willing to meet up at Starbucks for about 15 minutes and we'll take a look at it? So even in that situation, I'm trying to get that appointment because I know ultimately I got to figure out where you are in the process, what it is you guys are looking for, and then kind of help inform you of if you're newer to the process or it's been a few years, kind of how it all works. I like to explain to my buyers kind of how it works. We're going to start off, share what we're going to do. We're going to go out, we're going to find you the perfect home. Once we find that home, we'll decide whether we would like to write an offer or not. How we're going to help determine what we would offer is I will run what's called a comparative market analysis, where I'm going to go run the numbers to kind of find comparable homes that are similar to the one you're thinking of writing an offer on and kind of see what have they sold for, so that we can kind of determine, is the home that you're looking at listed at a competitive price, or is there a little bit of a margin one way or the other? Once you and your boyfriend or your husband decide, hey, we're ready to write the offer, we'll get that offer submitted. Now keep in mind, outside of list price, there's over 27 different items in the contract that are negotiable. So some of those terms can favor the seller, some may favor the buyer. So when it comes time to write that offer, depending on whether we're in a multiple offer situation or not, might determine which way we go with some of those terms. Now, once we get that offer submitted, they may decide to accept it as is. They may also decide to completely reject it. Hopefully that won't happen to us if we write a good, strong offer. It shouldn't. And then sometimes they may counter back and make some changes and ask you to accept it. Once we've come to an agreement on that, a couple of things are going to happen. At that point, you are under contract, but we're going to build in an option period. That option period allows you and your husband to walk away from the contract at any time during that option period for any reason. So if you woke up on the third day of the contract and said, man, we just got bad juju. I've opted out of the contract because of bad juju. I don't necessarily know what bad juju is, but my client called and told me that the home has bad juju and he doesn't want to buy it anymore. Just kind of vibes, I think, was kind of what he meant. But it was pretty fun to call the other agent. Like, yeah, we're backing out. Well, do you want to give me any reason? I don't have to. You don't have to. You check box one of the termination, says we have the unrestricted right to terminate, but I let her know my client thinks the home has bad juju. Not much you can do to overcome that objection. But so I explained. So say we'll be in an option period, and that can be anywhere from 3 days all the way up to 10 plus days, and we pay the seller for that. Typically, the fee for that option is going to be anywhere from $100 to $500, depending on the competitiveness of the offer situation. But that, like I said, will give you guys the unrestricted right to terminate that contract. for any reason. However, at the same time, that's when we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get a home inspection scheduled. That inspector is gonna be kind of like going to see a general practitioner. They're not necessarily going to give you the solution to any issues the home may have. They're gonna diagnose it. Just like you may go to a doctor, get a physical every year, and then they may send you to a specialist to have your blood pressure looked at, or to have your knee looked at, or to an ortho to get that wrist looked at. That's how a home inspector operates. What they do is they come in and they're gonna look at all the systems of the house from all the way from the roof down to the foundation. They're gonna let you know if they see any potential issues. And then at that point, we may decide to bring specialists out. Once we've completed all our inspections, what we're gonna do is end up negotiating repairs. So we will ask the seller for any repairs that are most important to you. Now, I'll give you a little heads up. The market we're in right now does favor the sellers. That's why we're seeing so many multiple offers, home sales for list price and well above. So sometimes sellers aren't as willing to do some repairs as they might be in a different market. So keeping that in mind, what we really want to focus on are the major systems of the home, such as the roof, the foundation, the HVAC, the electric, and the plumbing. Issues with that and safety issues, absolutely, we want to get the seller to repair. Outside of that, we kind of want to be careful with what we ask for. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, you say that the important one's foundation?
Roof, foundation,
Okay.
HVAC, plumbing, and
Good
electric.
morning. Good, how are you? How is everything going?
Okay, so foundation.
Roof, foundation, plumbing, electric, HVAC, and safety issues. You want it, just like I want to set expectations with the buyer in that consultation, and we would go over the market conditions, depending on the price point you're looking in. What are the average days on market or home selling at or above list price? So that when it's time to write the offer, she's prepared to know from day one, we're gonna come in, we're gonna be coming into a strong competitive market. We discussed the other items outside of, I don't necessarily go over all the items that are also negotiable within the contract, but make sure that she's aware there are items that we will go over. And that way, when I'm talking to her the day we write the contract, you know, Shay, remember we discussed that when we first got together, and you may not, but that there are some items inside the contract that besides sales price can either favor the buyer or seller. So we're going to go over a few of those tonight, and you and your husband decide kind of which way we want to go with this offer. And that's what I'll go over that. I also want to set those expectations on the inspection and what repairs are acceptable. We can ask for anything, but what we can do if we ask for ridiculous things is all of a sudden we've taken a real fun transaction and we've now got a pissed off seller. It sucks when the sellers and buyers decide to hate each other, and some of them do it for no reason. I've had sellers that just end up hating the buyers of their house, just hating them. And for no like apparent reason, just because they got offended because they asked for like something on the inspection report. But try to keep that from happening by setting the expectation. Let's really focus on the main systems and safety issues. You know, I had a buyer once, we had a stained glass window on the front door and 55 different little like pieces of stained glass. And in one of the little pieces was a hairline crack. That like the inspector called it out. We couldn't even find, so the seller calls me and says, you need to come over. We asked for the whole window to be replaced. She goes, you need to come over here and even show it to me. I couldn't find it. Like we eventually, after about 30 minutes, we're like, I think that may be what it was. Like,
Oh, my goodness.
that's a ridiculous request. This was a client from hell, really nice client. His mother was a licensed agent in Arizona. They were in a different market at the time. So it may, in her market, I don't know, may have been acceptable to ask for literally anything that the inspector called out, she wanted on the repair amendment. She asked for, so on the fireplace, they put this little clamp, it's called a C-clamp. All it does is keep your damper from shutting all the way, so that if you have a gas leak, that it'll allow some gas to get up and hopefully not blow up your house or kill you. And they're missing all the time. She wanted that replaced. So you're gonna have that called on inspections. There's a anti-tip device that goes on the back of an oven. So there's normally like a socket, kind of an insert hole built into your wall. And then there's like a metal prong on the back of your fridge that goes into that keeps it from tipping. The metal will hit the thing. A lot of times that's missing. It's never gonna, no one's gonna put that in for you. It's just not gonna happen. Yet I have buyers that will ask for it. So that's why I've learned to set that expectation from the get-go, that we really want to concentrate on the main systems and safety issues. And I know that's a safety issue. We can ask for it, but we're not gonna get it. With that inspection, sometimes if we've got two major things we really want, I may add a third ask to give the other side something to say no to. That, hey, here are the two things we absolutely, and that's kind of how I work with. So I go on the inspection. You'll typically show up the last hour of the inspection. The inspector will go over, a good inspector will walk you through the house. And not only are they showing me any deficiencies in the home, they're showing my potential buyer all the features of the home. Where is the hot water heater? How do you shut it off? Where is your outdoor shut off for plumbing? Where are your return vents for your HVAC unit? What size filter? How often should you change that filter? It's kind of like if you buy a new car, a good dealer walks you out to the car, literally like before you drive off the lot, they've shown you what every button does with every little bell and whistle in the car and how you operate it. Good home inspector kind of does that and shows you kind of the components of the home. And then will let you know what potential deficiencies he sees. Hey, I'm seeing some slight movement and grading issues over on that right corner of the house. Notice a lot of corner pops. Looking like you've got some separation there. The brick, I'm seeing a nice step crack. You may want to investigate further. Yes, sir.
Should the buyer ever ask for utility bills?
Absolutely, not uncommon. Gotta get a copy of your last 12 months average utilities so that you can kind of see what that looks like. Certainly.
We did. We bought this summer. We moved in, $700 water bill.
Get a water leak.
Yeah, we had a toilet that was running constantly
Oh.
back. Didn't realize the toilet could do that. That was unbelievable.
That's an expensive commode. That is absolutely, yeah. It's not necessarily a requirement, but I bet it's something if you ever buy any other house, you will ask for. When I talk about that list of stuff you add, those are the sorts of things the buyers that have bought a second or a third house have now probably learned a crappy lesson, literally, and had to learn from it. A good listing agent, I may post on the MLS, you can store the seller's disclosure. A good listing agent may have those electric bills. We create a home book for each one of our listings that has that in it, that has all the providers, has the schools. It's a binder we keep at the listing, but we'll post some of that on the MLS. We want you to have as much information possible to buy that house. So the inspector walks through, you spend that hour, and he'll go over kind of the deficiencies. And the way I like to end with the inspector is to say, hey, Laurie, if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like we probably need to get an electrician out and maybe a plumber to get those plumbing issues. Any other big ticket items I'm missing? The inspector's not going to tell me how much anything costs. They're not going to tell me the solutions. But they will kind of, a good one will confirm, yeah, you're on the right track. Awesome. So it sounds like everything else is pretty kind of either like handyman, able to be accomplished. Yeah, beautiful. Kind of what I'm hearing there is these are the things we don't ask for. Here are the two big ticket items. We need to make sure we know what's going on. And so at that point, I'm walking the buyer back to walking the buyer kind of step by step. It's a great table. We'll have that option period. That allows you and your husband to opt out at any reason for whatever during that set amount of days. During that time, we get the inspection. We'll negotiate any repairs. Provided we end up getting an agreement on any repairs that are needed, we'll continue to move forward in the contract. At that point, we have a little less opportunity to get out of the contract. So we want to make sure in that option period that we feel good about everything moving forward. At that point, we're really waiting on title to kind of get everything ready for the title commitment. We'll make sure that we've got the HOA documents, a survey if the other side has one to provide for us. And at that point, we're kind of hanging out till closing day. Any questions you guys have about that? So I kind of want to walk all my buyers before we go out and look at homes through the process. A couple of reasons. I want them to know what kind of market they're getting into. I want them to understand the process. I want them to know about kind of the repairs and how that all works. Because if you don't go over that stuff and then you send them a copy of the contract to sign, well, the box you check is always going to be property as is. But if you read above that, it'll explain that that does not preclude you from getting inspections and negotiating a repair on a separate amendment. Buyer just sees property as is, and they're like, oh my God, no, why would we buy? No, we're gonna want some repair. You explain that stuff. But I see a lot of agents, the buyers or liars agents, they don't have that conversation, but they try to do it like at the first showing. They're so excited. They just got an online lead. They called them up. Hey, Shay, Hunter Webb, Keller Williams, how are you today? Great, awesome. I work at movingtobigd.com as well as Keller Williams. I noticed you had just registered on our website. Wanted to thank you for doing so. Looked like you were looking at the home over there on Maple Tree Drive. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful home. She said, yeah, we're wanting to see maybe if we can go take a look at it. Beautiful, absolutely. I'd love to show you that. What I'd love to do though is just grab a cup of coffee, or you can meet me here in my office for about 15 to 30 minutes. Just kind of get to know each other a little bit better, kind of inform you about the process, answer any questions you guys may have about the home buying process, and then we'll go take a look. How's that sound? And that's when I want to get that consultation so that I can explain. The Pop-Tart agent just says, oh my God, yeah, Shay, what time do you want to go look at that house? 3 today? Sweet. I will meet you out at 3 o'clock. Like a police officer that we had teach a safety class said, you guys are the only profession I know that we're going to meet a complete stranger in the middle of like a vacant house, like with no questions asked. That's why the safety aspect of having the appointment. But B, what you do when you're a Pop-Tart agent, you still try to tell them all that stuff, but you're trying to do it while they're looking at the house, the first house they've gotten to see. They're excited. They wanted to go see this house. So they're walking around the couple talking about how much they love the house, but you're trying to teach them the process of home buying. Even when I sit down with them, they're not going to remember most of it, but they're damn sure not going to remember it if they're in the middle of trying to look at the house. Their little kids running around. They're making sure he's not putting paint all over somebody else's wall. And you're trying to teach them about the home buying process. So that's why I want to find that clarity and kind of do it in the presentation. So everybody knows where to go get the buyer presentation. You've got the one I created that's on the Google Drive, also emailed you the PDF, but you know you can go in and create and modify your own and personalize it. So I took out, there's quite a lot of pages that would advertise like your website. I took that out. Your biography. I took out the testimonials, anything that needed to be personalized. One of the cool things about Keller Williams, you can create your own branding. And so you don't have to be branded with just Keller Williams. For most of us right now, that's the best course of action, is to have the brand. And you know, it's a good brand to have. We're the #1 real estate company by total volume and total transactions in 2019. I imagine we'll probably get that accomplishment again in 2020. But you may someday choose to go with your own brand. Shay Sells Homes and have your own logo and your own color scheme. Maybe you go with like bright orange and bright blue. You don't have to go with red and white. And so at some point you may use this content, but end up putting your logo, your branding on it. If you are looking for logos, I'm a big fan of Fiverr, FIVERR.com. Fiverr is basically, it's a bunch of independent contractors. You can go online. We'll pop over. I'll show you guys. It's a pretty cool site. So it started as a website where you could get like anything done for $5. Now most of the artists have gone up in price, but it's still very, compared to if you've ever looked into like hiring a graphic designer. Like one of my best friends is a graphic designer, and like I've called him before to be like, hey man, will you help us create a logo? He's like, yeah, I'll do it at a discount rate. I'm $250 an hour. Huh. I'm good. But so you type in logo and this will pop up. And so these are all different graphic designers that will create a logo for you. So like this guy starts at $250, probably wouldn't necessarily start with him. There's folks that will do it for $25. So what you can do is you can click on it. And so they have different packages. So the basic package, one vintage logo, initial concept, high-res JPEG, and PNG, personal use only, no copyrights. The standard gives you 2 vintage logos. The expert package, full exclusive copyright. So what we did when we needed to create logos, we went on here, we found 3 or 4 of the $25 packages, had 4 different artists create it. and then picked the one we liked the most and went farther and paid for the upgraded package that we would own the logo, get all the files, the vector file, the 3D image, the black and white image, all that stuff. So we started off with a bunch of different choices. If you like spending a little money and having a little fun, the other one I've used, and we just did this for a new coaching logo that I think we're coming out with at some point, is Logo Tournament. And so it takes like 50 designers and they all go out and create a logo for you, and then it puts it in like a bracket and you can vote on them, and you can have your friends go online and vote on them. So it's a fun way to like kind of get interactive with your friends. Sharing your, even if you did the Fiverr, just posting your like 4 potential logos, saying, hey, I'm super excited, just got my logos back. What do you guys think? Which one, A, B, C, or D? Headshots, another fun way to kind of get interactive. Hey, just got my real estate headshots back. Which one do you guys like more, A, B, C, or D? And it's also a way to create content while also working on building your brand. So branding wouldn't be the first thing I necessarily worried about for most of you, but it's something over time you're going to want to probably consider. That brand is kind of what can help you stand out in the market, can help you kind of create that niche, can help you attract the kind of buyers and the sellers that you're looking for. I know like Tamara, we were talking, she does the interior designing, and we're kind of starting to kind of try to help her brainstorm on ways to kind of, what would you brand yourself if you were an interior designer and a real estate agent, that I would know you were kind of both, and be able to kind of do a dual, like the designing agent or something like that, where you could kind of brand and market yourself as both. So the branding can be fun. We talked about Cheryl Webb yesterday, the Red Shoe Realtor. That's her brand. It's just something that stands out. She's always in a red shoe. So it's something to kind of remember her by. So you know where the appointments are. So everybody get a chance to kind of look over the guide. Like I said, this one is pretty thorough, especially when it starts to talk about, as we flip through it, got the sound decision kind of talking about, just like with the sellers, it's all about them and really concentrated. It really is. I'm looking for your house. You'll never offend. And the one thing I tell all my buyers, I don't own any of these homes. If I do, I promise I am legally required to let you know. And so you will not offend me if you do not like a house. I want them to know, if we walk in a house and you don't like it within the first minute, please do not make us spend an hour and a half there. So I've had a client that did that. Walked in, the first thing he said is, oh my God, we never live here. Awesome, well, let's head on to the next one. They're like, well, I want to take some pictures for design ideas. An hour later. Good use of my time. So your needs come first, truly talking about what it is. It's all about them. I like to build your preference sheet. It talks about what is your favorite way to receive contact. In other words, I like to know, it seems like a basic question to ask, but how do folks want to be communicated with? So Shay, what's the best way to reach out to you and your husband?
Text.
Beautiful. And if we're in the middle of a work day, what's your availability kind of look like?
Lunchtime.
Okay. If I do need to get a hold of one of you two during the middle of the 9 to 5 workday for something that's very time pressed, who would be the best person to call?
My husband.
Okay, beautiful. That way I know before we get everything going exactly how to communicate. Now on text messages as a guy, and you probably as a girl want to rule the same thing, I make sure anytime I'm able to communicate to both parties, I do. If I had to communicate with one, I would try to make my communication with the husband if possible. But then I run the risk of like the wife thinking I'm doing that because, oh, you think he's the one that wears the pants in this family and makes the decision. No, which I don't want your husband to think I'm trying to. It's tough with that stuff. It's the same thing with the women. You're going to come across that with the wives getting upset if you're batting your eyes at their husbands, even if you're not batting your eyes at their husband, but they're having some issues. They may decide to take it out on you and make you the bad guy. It can happen. Just keep that cognizant. I try to keep my communication between married couples or female and male couples or any couple kind of together. I don't want to seem like I'm reaching out to one or the other. And I never know who is making the decision. You may think you've got a good idea, you don't know what happens when they get back in that car together or when they go home, who's really calling the shots. Hopefully it's a team and they both agree on the house, but oftentimes one party may be a little bit more in control of the situation than the other. I joke about, I'll literally leave a house and the husband will be like, oh my God, we love it. It was really great. Then we show up at the next house and he's like, turns out we don't love it. I'm like, oh, you decided that? Yes, I did. And I've also been told I have no more opinions on the situation. But then it walks them through their wish list. And that's what that's the biggest part of that consultation. So who will be living in the home? What are the non-negotiables in other words, what are the absolute must-haves? What are the must-haves? What are the really, really wants? And what are the, we'd be happy if it had. Because I want to get you as many of the must-haves as possible. You to name your top 5 non-negotiables. What would they be? Beyond your top 5 needs, what is something you really want? Do you have a preference for the year you want the house built? Do you want new? Do you want old? Particular year? Do you want a house in move-in condition? Or are you willing to do some work on it? Also, you say you're willing to do some work. When you say work, what does that mean? Does work mean just cosmetics? Or does work mean I'm willing to do, even when they say, no, we're willing to do, some heavy repairs. Beautiful. How about foundation? That's its own separate beast. There are a lot of folks that are willing to do a little bit of work, but I won't touch a house without foundation. North Texas, you kind of got to help some buyers get over the fact that homes, especially depending if you're buying in certain areas, are going to have foundation issues. That if they're saying, I don't want a home that has even ever had foundation work, that may rule out whole neighborhoods. There are whole neighborhoods in North Texas that every home at some point will or has gotten foundation work. My neighborhood's one, for example. They're old Syntex homes built in the 70s. I bet you 90% of us have piers under our house. The reality that soil shifts, depending on the quality of the build, ends up with foundation issues. You want a house in move-in condition, or you're willing to do some work on it. When people visit your home, what do you want it to say about you? I had one buyer, for example, he was very low-key, but he had a high-end job in the C-suite, and it was very important, not to him personally, but that he had a neighborhood that his bosses would be impressed by. Like, it was name recognition. We ended up getting him a home in Willow Bend Estate, not Willow Bend Estates, the smaller one, the Gates of Willow Bend or something. But he wanted that Willow Bend name because he wanted, his bosses were coming over for dinner once or twice a month, and he wanted to make sure he looked the part. So I thought that was a little interesting. Are there any specific features that would make your next house feel instantly like home? Will you require accessibility options? Are you going to have mother-in-law or mother or father-in-law living with you? If so, is there anything we need to keep in mind for them? Then it goes into exterior. What type of home are you looking for? Do they want a single family, a condo, a townhome? Approximately square footage will adequately cover your living space. How many stories do you prefer? I can rule out all the 2 stories or 1 stories. And when we get into stories, do you want the master bedroom on the 1st or the 2nd floor if you're willing to do a 2-story home? I've found that tends to be a geographic thing. A lot of people from the north, especially the northeast, seem to be a-okay with the upstairs bedroom. People that tended to grow up in the south, for whatever reason, we didn't build them, I guess. You'll get in some neighborhoods where it's almost every other house seems to be upstairs bedroom, and some where there's only like 1 or 2. If every other house, and it's not that bad of a thing, if I'm the only house in the neighborhood with my bedroom upstairs and everyone else is downstairs, that may be a tough sell for me. What lot size are you looking for? What architecture styles are you drawn to? What type of exterior siding appeals to you? Do you like stucco? Do you like ephes? Do you like siding? Do you like brick? Do you like concrete? Do you like glass? Do you like modern? Do you like mid-century? Do you want a porch, deck, or both? What are you looking for in terms of a garage? I had one client that every home we went into, the first thing the husband did was walk out into the garage with his measuring tape. He had an extended cab F-250, and if he couldn't put that in the garage, we didn't need to walk through the rest of the house. It could be the wife's dream house, but he could give it in. If he couldn't fit his truck in that garage, we weren't even going to look at the rest of the house. So that was what was important to him. What type of driveway or vehicle entrance exit will you require? Sometimes I tell them, like, pay attention to, like, especially in the alley. Who lives in a home off an alley? You can get some weird turn-ins that are damn near impossible to back your car in. Like, it's a pain in the ass every day. I ask my clients that have a commute sometimes to try going early in the morning. I typically will ask, hey, Lori, what time do you typically go to work?
3 o'clock.
So you leave the house around 8 o'clock? Beautiful. What I would love you to do if you have time this week, while we're in the option period, is go by the house around 7:45 so that you can practice driving at 8 o'clock, just to make sure that that commute is something that's doable for you. One client did even call me that afternoon. He goes, oh my God, the sun's in my eyes both directions. It's miserable. He was like, seriously, that was enough for him to go, I would hate to drive every day like that blinded, because especially like George Bush, depending on, you're driving east in the morning and west in the afternoon, that sun can nail you for a couple months at a time. It sucks. That was enough for him to kind of reconsider the house, but you should know how long is the traffic flow. There's an app, you can search via the map, search drive times on the MLS, but it's not very accurate. Like you can select, here's where my client works. I need anywhere that's a 10-minute drive. It'll pull like a 22-mile radius. I'm like, that ain't North Texas traffic I've been in. Like, you can't go 2 miles in Frisco at 8 in the morning in 20 minutes. Like, good God, especially not 10 miles. Do you want a swimming pool or a hot tub? Are you looking for any structures such as a greenhouse or shed? Client that asked for a barn and kept telling me I need more parking space, more parking. I go, what do you put on like big equestrian shows? No, cockfighting. That was when I said I can't work with clients that are looking to do illegal things. So, appreciate it. Yeah, that was a first. Do you need special outdoor arrangements for your pets? What other exterior features are important to you? So you've seen the important, it seems like it's a lot of questions, but you've seen how each one of those questions can rule out homes and can help you pinpoint the right home. And so each one of them is kind of helping me get closer to finding the right home. What style do you envision for the interior of your home? Formal, casual, cozy, traditionalist? What kind of floor plan do you prefer? I feel like everyone these days is, I want a very open floor plan. But you know what, with everybody now working from home, maybe that badass open floor plan with no walls isn't so convenient when you're both on Zoom calls all day and the kids are running around and you can't close any doors off. General, what are your preferences for the interior? Bathrooms, how many bathrooms do you need? What are your needs for each of the bathrooms? A little personal. Well, will any bathroom need to serve a specific purpose? Powder room, swimming pool access, fit for children, accessibilities? How many bedrooms do you need? How will each of those rooms be used? What are your preferences for the owner's suite? Do you spend a lot of time in the master bedroom? A lot of folks don't spend that much time in their bedroom. And so having a huge, we got a 2,000 square foot house and 500 square feet of my master bedroom. If I'm never in there, boy, I'd much rather have a 300 square foot or even a 250 square foot master bedroom with an extra 250 square feet of my kitchen and my living room. So it's, how they use the home. What are your general preferences for the kitchen? Do you cook a lot? Or are you one of those, I get takeout every night and don't really need fancy cooking equipment? That will change a lot of what we're looking for in the kitchen. Do you prefer gas? Do you prefer electric? Folks that have cooked on gas tend to not want to go back to electric. That was something I learned, and once I've now used gas, and now I'm back to electric and I hate it. Gas is kind of nice. So then always feel like I'm going to blow my house up, but I didn't grow up with it. So I've found a lot of my younger buyers, especially, were all kind of timid around gas. Like, I can blow up the house. There's a million other things I can do to blow up my house, but somehow gas bothers me. What features must your kitchen have? Breakfast nook, type of appliances. What finishes do you like? Countertops, flooring, sinks. Will your kitchen need to accommodate anything with custom measurements? Breakfast cooler, island, farmhouse sink, butcher block, countertop. Then he gets into their neighborhood and kind of starts asking the same questions. Your neighborhood or areas you would enjoy living in. Are there specific streets or characteristics in these neighborhoods you're going to? What school districts do they prefer? Where do they work? Where are their favorite places to shop? What do you like to do for fun? Are there any other considerations I should be aware of? So it's helping them pinpoint what does the house look like and where is the house going to be. Some folks will kind of have a good idea. One of the things I like to do with my buyers, and this is a conversation you can have with every buyer, and this will probably be our end point. Yep. So I draw a triangle. Let me see if I can do it on the. Yeah. You guys seeing that triangle I drew online? Cool, cool, cool. Oh, you guys can't see it though. Cool. I'm gonna draw it for them and then I'm gonna draw it for you guys. Writing with my hand, I promise I have a little better handwriting than this. So you ask all these questions to get a good idea. Ultimately, what I tell my buyers is there are three things that we look at in a house. Price, location, and condition, Shay. That's what you and your husband get to decide on. You can pick two. I'll pick the third. I don't say it that bluntly, but that's ultimately every buyer. You have two decisions and the third is going to be made for you. So you want to spend $750 and you want new construction? Cool. There's only certain areas I can find you a home in new construction for $750. You want to spend $200,000 and live in Plano? Cool. There's only a certain amount of conditioned homes that I can get you. You want new construction and you want it in Plano? Well, we're going to be starting in the like 750s. So I kind of help my buyers understand there's three choices. What are the two most important to you? For most folks, this number is going to be one of them. Very few of my buyers come to me and say, I don't give a damn. It can be anywhere from 100,000 to $1 billion. I got all the money in the world. Cool problem to have, I guess. So most folks, it becomes location and condition of their decisions. Well, you want new construction and your budget's 400,000. Plano's probably not an option, but I can get you a home. Probably there's some really nice homes up off of 380, right on the border of Frisco and Prosper, McKinney. We can head South Dallas, Cedar Hill, DeSoto's got a lot of nice new construction down there. So that's one of the discussions I have with my client is, of these, what is most important to you? And typically, I don't even have to directly ask them. By the end of this consultation, I'll have a pretty good idea. Well, they know their budget's $750 and they know they're looking new construction. And then I kind of inform them, here are the areas that are awesome. You're wanting to be in Plano and stay under $250,000. Well, here's the condition of the homes we're gonna choose from. We'd like a nicer condition, and we need to adjust the location or adjust the price. Very few folks can just come up with an extra $100,000. So at that point, if we don't like the conditions at $250 in Plano, we need to go find a different location. And so really helping them kind of understand that can be huge. So that's the buyer consultation. There's a few more things we would go over on Monday. But ultimately, it's just like with the seller conversation. It's having that conversation, asking the questions so that you control the conversation. Don't be afraid to literally bring this form and go question to question. That is okay. I sit down in lots of different professional situations and they have a piece of paper in front of them. We don't have to memorize it. There's no special points for memorizing all the right questions to ask. When I go list a home, I still print off the Nectar's input form and go with that and bring it and check off all the boxes. So just like that, on a buyer consultation, bring this and literally ask those questions and write the answers down so that you've got a really good idea. So I love the guy. So we talked about your neighborhood, getting to know the neighborhood, goes through the home buying process. You'll want to go through this just like with the listing presentation and make sure that everything it says on there is something you do. You know, especially that listing presentation. Maybe it talks about like drone photography. Were you going to do that? No, take it off. If you have it on there, they're going to expect it. Financing your future home. So it talks about the lending process, gives in that list of do nots. Do not go buy a new car. Don't come up to me and tell me you went and bought all new furniture. Nothing sucks worse than when your buyer shows up in a brand new car, because you can probably kiss that pre-approval letter that they got last week goodbye, because everything has now changed. Don't quit your job before you close.
Oh my gosh, okay, sorry, that makes me so mad because my husband and I were starting to look for a home.
Uh-huh.
And I like talked to a lender and everything, and they're like, oh, well, you just changed careers. You're gonna have to wait 2 years
Yeah.
until we see your like average. And I was like, okay, oh.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
When you
not
go
for 2
from-
years.
W-9 or W-2 to W-9,
I'm like
2 years. Yeah. It sucks.
Couldn't they, I mean, not that this is what you want to do, but couldn't they just get pre-qualified on just her husband's side?
They can,
Right.
I mean,
but obviously that's
kinda
gonna change the price. Yeah.
Right, right.
Doesn't mean that your money's not there, that you can't use your money to pay the bill, but they cannot qualify you based off your money. Yeah, kind of sucks.
I was like,
Talks about being your trusted partner. My promise to you, a promise to the community. Searching safely, little COVID update there. The bottom line, kind of your guarantee to them, provide excellent service. Talks about your app and the process through there, and then a nice little glossary in the back with some common used terms. So I'm a big fan of this packet. And I'll literally bring it and walk through that questionnaire. So any ahas today?
The triangle, I hadn't really thought of it like that. I think that's gonna be very helpful in using it.
It's huge. Yeah, because every now and then when I've got a stubborn buyer, unrealistic buyer, I will draw it out. And I'll say, okay, your price is pretty set. Am I right? Yeah. Beautiful. And you've told me it's extremely important that you're in new construction, right? Then that determines our location. If you're willing to adjust the condition of the house, I can get you into Plano. I can get you into Dallas. You know, you want to live in Preston Hollow in new construction, we're gonna have to bump it up from 750. And so, yeah, that was something huge when I first saw that. I was like, that does make sense. So, and typically here's the fun thing with listings when it comes to a listing, those are the 3 main factors. So if I want to sell my home for 750 in a certain location, it's got to be at a certain condition. Well, I can't change the location. So this leaves me these 2 factors. So on my listing, if we want to get 750, we've got to update your house to get it into the condition. Or if we want to keep it in the condition that you've got it in, then that's going to reflect on our price. Oftentimes with the listing, the one thing I can't move is the location. Whereas those 2, with a buyer, the one thing I normally can't move is the price. So which of those 2 is most important to you? That's your triangle of real estate business right there. So I know we were going to do the websites class. They made some changes to command last night, and as of this morning, the websites were down. So we're going to save that for next week and get that rocking and rolling. I will be around this afternoon, though, so if you guys have questions, need any help with anything, y'all just let me know. Who's going out and who's doing open houses this weekend? Quite a few hands in here. If you are not friends with me on Facebook and you are a Facebook user, will you add me? And this afternoon, I will put a Facebook group together. I should have done that day 1. So just for this Ignite group so that we can all share. And then I'll create, my first post I'll create is just going to be to list out your open houses. So if you guys are doing an open house, put them on there so that those of us who have that day off can go out and support you. So I may drive around, check out some open houses tomorrow. Any of you agents wanting to get out and support your fellow agent, good way to do it. Who's got buyers and sellers they're working with this weekend? All right. Potentially. Depends on when Turkey opens up for the day. How about online? You guys doing open houses?
I am, yep.
Rock and roll. Who's got buyers and sellers this weekend?
I got buyers next weekend.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if you don't have buyers and sellers, go get them. If you're doing open houses, that's one way to go find them. Y'all have a blessed Friday afternoon. Stay well and stay safe.
you as well, thank you.
Absolutely. See you guys online later.
What's your Facebook under, Hunter?
Should be Hunter Webb.
Because there's a bunch of you.
Are there?
Yep. One from I don't know, lives in Austin, lives in Round Rock. I shouldn't
No,
find
let's see what my post.
one mutual friend, 53 followers. We're not going anywhere.
That one too.
Oh, there we go.
So my picture right now is the Dallas Stars. We're not going home.
Okay, that's.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank
It would probably help if I changed my profile picture to a picture of me, huh?
you. Just leave it. We'll find you eventually.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
You cooked that tonight?
I did. We got the new grill last night. So it can go into what they call riot mode, which is 750 degrees. It only took like 13 minutes to get that hot. And then I put the steak on for 3 minutes and 3 minutes, and it was done.
3 minutes like rare, medium rare.
Medium rare. Came out a beautiful medium rare. And so tonight we've got a thicker ribeye, and so we're gonna go low and slow at 225 degrees for like an hour until we get to like 115 internal temperature. Then we're gonna pull it off, and then we're gonna put it up to 750, and we're just gonna sear it for about 45 seconds on each side for a smoked steak. And then Saturday is a 8-pound pork butt for some pulled pork. We're gonna figure out all the capabilities of this grill in 3 days. I may have gotten in a little trouble when the girlfriend saw the receipt from the butcher.
The butchers are expensive, but it's the best.
So that's why I live right next to that Hearst's butcher store in Plano. It's off of Parker and Alma. And they sell the prime beef there, and they'll hand cut the steak. And I don't typically like the big old thick guys. I like mine like an inch, because I like to kind of get that char. Well, now I can get the char in a little bit bigger one, so that'll be nice. But you know, before I was cooking on charcoal and gas, and so I just felt like those little ones were easier to get a little bit of char.
Well, and it's
But
funny.
yeah, it's dangerous and spends too much money.
Well, it's funny buying meat here versus like when we were in Chicago. Brisket, like the big brisket, that's not made up there. So we had to order, so they could specifically order like basically the cow.
I couldn't find them in the West Coast. They do tri-tip out.
Yeah, and so that was interesting, but we found a butcher that would order it for us, and it's great, but yeah, we have a big smoker.
Okay, that's we have the big offset smoker that uses the wood.
Well, that's what we were.
And so it was working good, but you have to be there, monitor the fire, and I've done enough of those, and I'll still continue, but I wanted to be able to like, tomorrow we got errands to run, stuff to do, so I'm gonna put that pork butt on at about 8 in the morning, and then sometime around 8 or 9 in the evening, we'll pull it off and let it sit for an hour. That's about all I have to do.
Do you, like, when you pull your meat off, do you put it in the cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We'll wrap it. I don't wrap it until I pull it off.
Right.
Because I know you get that what they call the stall where it just sits there at 165 for 3-4 hours. And I've wrapped it, but that shows the bark. And I like that crisp bark. Especially like on my ribs. I can't stand when they get all soggy. So I'll let it go, but then we'll wrap it in butcher paper and put it in the cooler for about an hour, hour and a half.
That was like the first big trick that we learned. Then you know about beforehand. I was like, oh my gosh, it makes all the difference. So now we literally just pull out the Yeti,
Yep.
throw it in there, close it, and
Well, one of the first tips I ever heard, I think it was a couple of the guys that were doing an interview for Meat Church, and they're like, whenever time you need the food ready, you can start 2 hours sooner than you think. I can promise you, you can always hold it. Once the pork butt's done, you can keep it in that cooler for 3-4 hours, you're gonna be fine. What you can't do is take it from 180 up to 205 in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so if you got your buddies coming over at 7, you need to be done with it by 5. Because I've definitely had nights where I had friends coming over for like a 7 o'clock dinner and it's 11:30.
oh yeah,
I'm like, I promise it's got like 3 more degrees. It's gonna be worth it, guys. It's gonna be worth it.
we
So,
used to, when we were in San Antonio, we would smoke briskets and do whatever on the weekends. So we had one neighbor that would come over at like 5 in the morning and just set 2 Bloody Marys out on our